We're going to
Yeah.
talk about Josh's songwriting.
Happy to do that.
Um,
Yeah.
how long you been writing songs?
I've been writing songs for a pretty good, probably since I was like 17 or 18 or something like that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't really express myself like that until I was probably in my 30s. I was really shy about writing
hmm
songs. Didn't really have the confidence to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely a journey working that up.
Yeah,
It's an exposing process for sure.
it really is. I
I
mean,
struggle with it sometimes still. Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of like playing in front of people and singing in front of people is another level. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, I can play and sing somebody else's. And there was a time I think where it made it even easier for me to be like not tell anybody I'd written a song and just play it and pretend like I'd covered it. You know what I'm saying? And that was kind of cool. Slip that in there. But yeah, it's a lot about confidence and I think it's just funny. Sometimes like I'll be headed out there to write a song and I just know, like, it's gonna happen today. I don't feel inhibited, by anything. I know that, or if I'm like tripping on something, I'm in a bad mood, or maybe I'm negative, or I'm just like in that, just not in the best mood that day. It's just not gonna happen. I'm just gonna beat myself up too much over it. So let me ask you this: like when you what's the quickest you've ever written a song, and what's the longest it's taken you to write a song?
The quickest, I'm really not one of those like sit down and write a song in an hour type of guy.
Uh huh.
Guys, I think that's probably happened to me once where I've
Okay.
like kind of where it just kind of spilled out, and I was like, "That's pretty good," I think I'm
Cool.
happy with that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think within like an hour or two, just like to have a complete song. I think maybe that's happened to me like one time,
Right.
but for the most part, it's quite the process for me,
Okay.
definitely.
Yeah.
I don't know. A lot of times I'll start with like a hook that pop into my head and I really like it. I'm
Yeah.
like, that's a good idea. I can
Yes.
tell a good idea when I hear one. I think that that's a good idea.
Uh huh.
And I'll start to put words to it or just try to flush it out, and then like just as the closer and closer I get to the finish line, like the slower I crawl towards it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like I really started out hot with this like really good idea and like maybe built around it a tiny bit, sounded really good, and then like trying to like take it a little bit further, fill it out a little bit, it's getting tougher, trying to put the finishing touches on it, can't figure it out, you know what I mean?
Right.
And eventually it just like, it's kind of like with any work in progress or with any art, it's like sometimes you just got to draw the line and be like, all right, it's done.
Yeah.
I'm going to stop because you can like sweat over it or try to like nudge it around or change things like
Yeah.
forever.
Yeah, and I think it is good. That's great what you're saying. And I think there's, because like right now, I'm sure you have like three or four, melodies that have some verses and might have a chorus or a part of a chorus or maybe you got like three or four things that are in the works,
Right.
know?
Yeah.
And the song that I did, I actually wrote finished a tune that I've been writing for like 8 months. And it was kind of funny because I sat down and I just wrote, the whole verse and the intro and all that shit. All I needed was just the verses, the second verse line, And I was just like, I had already memorized this whole damn song, and I love those are kind of songs that kind of write themselves, and then like they're really not hard to remember the lyrics to those ones. Another thing too that I've noticed, like I really love singing other people's songs that write in my band. For example, Nick, our banjo player, he, he's got a hard job. He's playing the banjo. He wants to play the banjo while his song that he's wrote is being sung. So
Yeah.
he'll have me sing it, and it's interesting singing a song from another person's kind of cadence.
Definitely.
You
Yeah.
know, it's like there's one song I'm having a little trouble singing it because it's almost a tongue twister for me, but it's a
Yeah, totally.
beautiful tune, and I cannot wait to share it with people. And
Mm-hmm.
and I need to really, Nick told me, you need to make it your own, and I do need to spend a lot more time with it, and I'm going to, of course. We're recording it soon, and we're going to be performing it, but it is. And that kind of is the same way too. There's other songs that are cover songs. I just can't play them because
Yeah.
I just can't fit the words in that space.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah,
There's something to picking tunes
yeah,
that like kind of coincide with your style or
Yeah.
whatever you're comfortable with and all that stuff. You know?
And I like what you said about the hook. You kind of hear something and you use that as kind of like a foundation to build everything else on.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And that all just comes back to just doing it, doing the thing, and putting the work in. And I know if I spent more time, it's hard as a musician to kind of balance promoting yourself, your brand, getting gigs, playing the gigs, preparing for the gigs, and writing.
It's unbelievably multifaceted,
You know what I'm saying?
for sure.
So
especially these days, right? Because you have to be your own like booker, your own like
totally
media promoter, your own like whatever it is that you're doing. Like you got to make your videos, you got to do your Instagrams and all that stuff. You got to do your booking, you got to make sure you get there. You do all these logistics, the budgeting, and then it's like, oh yeah, like I also have to make songs. I also have to like make music too. You know what I mean? It's like I have to practice and
you got to be really disciplined.
Yeah, there's so many different facets to it, and so many more than I ever would have expected when I like first decided to embark on being a full-time musician.
Yeah, and I think the more you get in the woodshed and write music, and me too, because I've noticed even if I don't even write the greatest song, I share it with my fan base. They love it. They're like because they like the artist, and he's pretty much anything you write is just fresh and new. You know what I'm saying? It's just something new. I think presenting a new song that you write to your fans is like hip. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally.
And it must be like Jason Isbell or like all these Sturgill Simpson, all these songwriters. They must have people that handle everything, and they're just like, you know what? Just do me a favor, like put it in my date book. Okay, and I'm gonna go write music, and you handle all that things. That must be nice.
What a luxury!
What a luxury!
Someday I hope to have like a booking agent or something like that.
Yeah,
right?
Or in the right booking agent, because there's a lot of people out there they'll take everything that you make that they don't get you, and they don't get you a lot. And they promise you a lot of we've had some people that have approached us. That I don't know. It's kind of like a car salesman kind of vibe.
Yeah, definitely. I've had similar experiences. It's the same with like labels and stuff like that, where it's like at first it seems like they're it could be an opportunity, and just kind of turns out that they want more from you than you're really getting from them. It's like,
yeah, so my advice to everybody out there is just keep pushing forward. Creators, if you're on YouTube and you've got a channel and you're whatever you're doing out there and creating, keep pushing forward, keep putting the content out there, and just be honest with your fans and have fun. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, we really appreciate you guys commenting, letting us know how you're doing, where you're watching from. Make sure you share this to your favorite music group, to your news feed, and also smash that subscribe button. Now, you can find Josh's band. Lily, put that link up for Josh's band. And Josh, tell us again, how can we find your band online?
If you search the Rose Valley Thorns, which is my band name, pretty much anywhere you should be able to find us, listen to us, all that good stuff.
Cool. Tell me about the name of your band. How did you choose the name of your band?
So I'm from a small town in Southern California called Ojai, and it's actually more people have probably heard about it these days than before because it's kind of on the map now. Trendy little artsy town.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, nestled in the mountains. And there's this really beautiful spot in the Los Padres National Forest there called Rose Valley. And I just grew my whole life, like through my childhood to adulthood, I've just been hiking, camping, backpacking, all making memories in that valley there. So it's some hometown homage, the Rose Valley Thorns.
That's awesome. I love it. It's a great name, right?
Thanks.
Rolls right off the tongue there. The Rose Valley Thorns. Digging it. And y'all are going to be playing at 38.
Yeah, number 38 on March 30th.
And is that the rosevalleythorns.com?
Yep.
And you guys have all your contact information. Now, if you're a talent buyer and you're running a festival, or you've got a true music venue, get in touch with Josh. He's got a great band together.
Yeah.
And they're going to be putting more material out. And Josh has got a record too, right?
Yes.
Okay, tell us about your record.
So the record was recorded on the West Coast with my original lineup of the band. That was me and my brother Jared Bergmann and bass player Corey Heiberg. We went into to a studio, a really awesome studio in Laurel Canyon, LA area,
nice.
and tracked it live, 14 tracks.
Okay.
Spent 3 or 4 4 days in the studio, just grinding them out. Banged out 14 tracks and released as the Rose Valley Thorns debut. It's mostly original music, couple trad tunes, classic country tune. That's available for anyone to listen to pretty much anywhere.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's on Spotify. That's on your page.
Yeah.
Okay. And awesome. So you guys check out Josh's album, the debut album. They're going to be working on a new album soon, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm. I've got some stuff in the barrel.
Yep. And so Josh is a singer, songwriter, mandolin, guitar player. Strong emphasis on bluegrass, but just really good music, I would just say. Now, in Southern California, what was your first experience with bluegrass music, and when was your moment that you had that you were like, wow, I really like that style of music. It speaks to me.
Yeah. It took a while for me to come around because I was exposed to bluegrass. And I was picking with a dear friend of mine. His name's John Adams. He was the one who was responsible for my downward spiral into bluegrass. I'd say he introduced me to it, and he introduced me to the mandolin when I was about 15 years old, I think. And he brought me into his band. It was kind of like a bluegrass country band. We played a lot of like John Prine stuff and a lot of like seldom seen tunes and stuff like that.
Cool.
But it was me at 15 years old playing mandolin with a bunch of like 40 and 50-year-old like recovering alcoholics and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
So that was my introduction to it. I wasn't passionate about bluegrass for a while. It wasn't really till I was studying music in school.
Okay.
I was playing jazz guitar in a big band.
Oh, nice.
And I promptly discovered that it was not for me. I got so fed up with like the convolutedness, I guess, of like music as a study, to where I just started getting more and more attracted to bluegrass and just the raw authenticity of it.
Yeah.
And I was like, dang, that's freaking really cool. And then what really was the nail in the coffin was just going to my first bluegrass festival.
Oh, okay.
I went to my first bluegrass festival and watched everyone picking and playing. And I was like, well, that looks like the most fun anyone's ever had playing music. So I'm going to do that.
Was that in California?
Yeah.
Cool.
I was at the Parkfield Bluegrass Festival. Shout out to those guys.
Nice. Now, have you done any traveling throughout the United States and seen any other regional bluegrass? Like, have you gone to New England or you gone to the South?
Shamefully small amount.
Oh, okay.
I've never really been to the South. Never been to Nashville.
Oh, that's okay.
Got to go check it out, man.
Yeah.
I really have to.
Yeah, you would love, the IBMA or the Spigma convention,
Yeah.
and maybe getting over there to Carter and Groon Guitars, and even though Broadway is so commercial now, you still got Ernest Tubb Record Shop there, and you can still go and visit the Hatch Showprint store. It's not the same place, and there's definitely still a lot of character left in Nashville.
Yeah, definitely. I see a lot of my friends from like the NorCal bluegrass community because there's great pickers up there. It's not like It's not really like it is in the LA area. It's much more happening up in the Bay Area, and they all go out to like IBMA every year, and I always get jealous and see their posts and like their footage and just some hot picking.
Yeah, Lily and I enjoy Northern California. We got a buddy out there. Big shout out to our friend Will. We like to visit him every year out there on the West Coast, and it's we just did the one. We actually drove up the one recently. Lily and I we went to the Bluegrass Festival, the Pickin' in the Pines, and we met up with Devin, and we stayed with Devin in LA for a little while, and he took us to a really good Mexican restaurant in Los Angeles that was delicious.
Oh, I miss the Mexican food.
Yeah, it was so good. It was probably the best Mexican I've had in many years, to say the least. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. And then we drove up the one. We saw a bunch of elephant seals and sea otters.
Oh, I just love it up there.
It's
so
beautiful,
nice.
man. Next time I go, I want to spend a little bit more time. And if I had just a little bit more time there, I could, maybe write a little bit. I really like Big Sur. Have you ever spent any time there?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Oh, it's magical, man.
It really is.
Definitely some songwriting inspiration.
So,
bountiful there.
As far as mandolin goes, everybody, like, me personally on guitar, I'm a big Tony Rice fan. I got my, Kenny Baker, not Kenny Baker, I forget his last name. I've got his name. I'm having a brain fart here, but I've got my people that I like. Billy Strings, of course.
Yeah, sure.
Molly Tuttle.
Mm-hmm.
NorCal
folk.
Norman Blake.
Oh yeah.
Who do you like? Like, as far as mandolin goes, who's your biggest inspiration on the mandolin?
That's a good question. I mean, Chris Thile was a big factor that drew me to mandolin initially. Cool. He kind of like helped me rediscover it when I was like studying music in school because of how, virtuosic he is and stuff like that. So sure. I was like, I was pretty into like the studies at the time, at least for the first year or two. And I was just like listening to Chris Thile. He was like, wow, that's just like so creative, so expressive, so capable, Yeah. I thought that was really cool. And then, from there I kind of, continued down the bluegrass train and it's harder for me to think of like bluegrass mandolin players that really light my wick. As far at least like well-known names. Really the people that really blow me away in like the bluegrass mandolin world are like people that I know personally. They're like buddies of mine, like guys like Josh Gooding or guys like Scott Gate. Scott Gate's like, you might not have heard of them, but if you hear them, they just blow your face off. They're just incredible bluegrass mandolin players.
Yeah, that's a great answer. I feel like your answer is kind of the same reason why I didn't play the mandolin, because I knew that, I'm not a lead player. My strength is playing rhythm and singing, and songwriting. So that's what I bring to the table. And
the guitar's perfect for that. I mean,
yeah, and
no
so
better
I can
way
get
to
away
support
with
your
it.
voice.
Yeah,
it's like whenever I'm playing a solo gig or like trying to like just like display a song, present a song myself, I'm like never backing myself up with my mandolin. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I always grab a guitar.
So you just can't just chop chords and be the lead. You can't just play rhythm guitar on a mandolin. So I just that's what kind of intimidated me from the mandolin, and because it's kind of like for me, I want to do whatever I'm doing, I want to do it well. Yeah. And if I can play rhythm guitar well, and of course. There's times where I'm off and I'm like, damn, what's wrong? I'm hitting on the offbeat here, this is not right. But for the most part, all my experience is playing rhythm guitar, and that's my lane, and I just kind of stay in it, and I'm fine with it. There was a time where I wanted to be a lead player, and I've worked really hard at it, and I think some people just don't have that, and it's good to...
I feel like I've heard you take some pretty tasty leads, man.
Oh, yeah? Thanks, man. Appreciate it. I kind of get like I don't know, it's like I get kind of confused and there's just so much going on, like it's like when you learn how to I totally fully appreciate when someone says, how do you learn how to sing and play at the same time? And I remember it's been 30 years, but I remember sitting on the front porch at my house in front of nobody, for hours upon hours every day for years, trying to link those two things, like juggle,
get your brain to do multitasking.
Get your brain to multitask. Yeah. And I don't take that for granted. I don't really remember how that feels, but I do take it for, probably on some level I do take it for granted. But then being able to do the three thing, that's why I really respect somebody like Tony Rice, who could take a lead break or could be singing a song and kind of comping himself with like little lead licks while he's singing a song. You know, it's like, what in the world is amazing, you know?
Totally.
On the mandolin, you know, like I love the mandolin. I think the first time, you know, I really fell in love with the mandolin, my cousin took me to a Bela Fleck show, and it was the Flecktones, and it was the Roxy Theater in Atlanta, and Sam Bush showed up, and it was like 1994, and I was just like a 15-year-old kid. I think I was like, I must have been 18, and I was just like, wow, like this is incredible. You know, I didn't know anything about the Flecktones. I didn't know anything about Sam Bush. I didn't know anything about Newgrass Revival. There was members of the Flying Burrito Brothers that opened up for them. I didn't know anything about that. My cousin's like telling me like, oh, you have no idea, like this is unbelievable. Like I'm like, okay, TJ, relax.
Totally.
You know, like it can't be any better than like, you know, Megadeth, you know, because at the time, you know, everybody's got, well, not everybody, some people do independently find their own stuff, you know, and I had somebody, my cousin, who was like that older cousin that was like, here, kid, you know, here's a Grateful Dead tape, here's a Bob Dylan tape, here's a Beatles tape, you know, like, you know, listen to something other than Judas Priest and Sepultura, you know, and so he kind of broadened my and that kind of brought me to bluegrass. I mean, there's like so many different things that really, I tell a lot of people this story. I was out driving around. I got pulled over because I was driving down the wrong way in a one-way street, like in the deep South, in this real hillbilly town, you know. And the guy was like, go sit down, you know. And I went and hung out in this cafe where he told me to go. And there was a bluegrass band. And it was Francis Mooney and the Fontana Sunset. And very traditional bluegrass music, lots of gospel in there, and you know, like a drive, I guess you would call it kind of contemporary, like 80s 90s drive bluegrass music. You know, I guess some people call it mash grass today.
Sounds like a good time to me.
Yeah, I love it.
Me too.
And she had a place called the Sawney Mountain Music Center. And every Friday night, there was bluegrass there, and it was usually like a, you know, like a gospel band or something like that. And then there was picking, and then we always had a Christmas party. And I became a buyer back there, and I used to a talent buyer. I used to book her, and we became very close friends. Actually, she played for our reception, and you know, so, and she's kind of like my bluegrass mother. But you know, so everybody has that like epiphany where they're just like, boom, you know, like. And I think for me, bluegrass music is, it's kind of like, it sounds so good. It's a happy music, even though sometimes the content is kind of sad. It's kind of like a dichotomy. It's like,
yeah, definitely.
You know, it's like you hear a murder ballad or something. It's such a beautifully composed song, like Little Sadie, for example. I don't like necessarily the content of Little Sadie. I'm not a big murder ballad guy, but it's you know, it's such a brilliant song, especially like the Tony Rice version, you know. And there's other versions too, you know. But yeah, so it's kind of like it kind of fools you into like, and jazz is like that to me a lot too. I really like jazz I can really meditate to jazz music, and really a lot of styles of music. But anyway, I'm rambling over here. Lily's giving me the wrap it up. Well, the great thing is we're going to be doing some picking here soon. We're going to play a few songs, and it's crazy because like we haven't even really. I've just thought about this. We haven't even talked about any of the songs that we're going to play. Normally, like I'll have a list of the songs. I'm much more organized. This was kind of a last minute thing, but it's great because you know I met you at the whiskey. Well, I met you at Cervantes, and then I picked with you at Whiskey Pick.
Yeah, we finally got to pick together,
and everything was great. It was just like boom. You know, we've been in a band together for 10 years. You know, you see, it's like you meet. It's really cool when you meet another musician. You're all the way from, you know, the West Coast. I'm from Georgia. You know, 3,500-4,000 miles, maybe even more, and but we still can communicate with each other through bluegrass music.
It's one of my favorite parts of the genre. Really, just like. You got built-in friends wherever you go, you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know, it's like wherever you're traveling, it's like you can probably try to find some bluegrass pickers, and like odds are you're going to get along. You know?
Totally. Yeah, that's what I love about bluegrass. Most of the musicians are really humble. Other really good mandolin players around here, I know Jordan Ramsey's a really good mandolin player, and he actually won Winfield, Kansas.
Oh wow, yeah,
Yeah, he's a beast.
nice. I don't know him. I don't think.
I don't, you know, during maybe, I think he, you know, since, when did you move here?
I moved here in July.
Oh, cool. So
Yeah.
I've actually been here longer than you.
There you go.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I moved here in 2020 in October of 2020. So, and
Got
like
you
I
beat.
said, yeah, like I said, you know, I had no idea I was moving. Now, did you ever aspire to move to Colorado? Was that a thing? Were you planning on doing it?
It was on my radar after coming out here with my band on tour. Definitely, you know, liked the vibe, and then yeah, I met a cute girl, and COVID kind of, you know, started to open up a little bit, and we were both ready for a change of scenery. Colorado fit all the criteria, so here we are.
That's awesome.
I'm pretty happy with the decision. You know, it's like,
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
Like I've been feeling the same way. You know, like, you know, Lily and I will be driving around and be like, you know what? You know, I like Longmont. You know, I like the little hot dog stand here and the this and the that.
Yeah.
You know, and the Lamplighter Motel and like all the nuances. You know, it's just well, you know, I've been in Georgia for 30 years, and honestly, before that, you know, for like 15 years before that, I was moving all around, you know, because I was Army brat. So, like, you know, it's kind of stagnant there. And also, whoever has the opportunity, you know, the pandemic was just such a rare experience that nobody, you know, that I know has ever lived through. Like, when it's just pushing pause
crazy
on our
stuff
industry.
for sure. Yeah.
You know, because you couldn't make a movie, you know, in 2020. So,
Yeah, I was a full-time musician at that point, and yeah, it was definitely a harsh contrast to the way things were. It's been weird picking up the pieces, but it did seem like everyone came out of it with like almost like an opportunity to transition, right?
yeah, and you may have given everybody a different perspective on life and kind of forced us out of our comfort zones, you know, in a way. Now, let's talk about your band a little bit more. Who is in the band and where are you guys playing at?
Okay, so I got a hot new 3-piece here. I'm
Awesome.
super stoked with the guys that I've wrangled down here. I got Zach Smith on the bass and vocals. He can sing real high and lonesome. It's great. He's a former bass player for Beauregard.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, he really knows what he's doing.
He's a pro.
Yep. And then I got Mark Edwards playing guitar for us as well. Mark Edwards, he's like a 4-year Berklee College music student. Absolute insane guitar player.
I think I played like with him at Paul Rennicks's backyard once.
Gotcha.
Yeah. He's
Yeah,
good.
he's amazing. So
That's great stuff, man. You're putting together some good players.
Yeah,
That's
I'm pretty
smart.
stoked on that. You know, keeping my eyes out for a banjo player still. We'll see. Well, I'm sure the right fit will come around sooner or later.
Oh yeah, there's some good fiddle players around too.
Yeah.
So where are you guys playing at next?
We've got. I think we're playing as a 2-piece at Odell on
Okay.
February 16th up in Fort Collins. And we're doing Odell again in March on March 16th, a month
Nice.
from that. And then we got the full trio for number 38. And
Okay.
I think that was March 30th. Did I say?
Cool.
Was that it? Cool. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that. We're trying to get more things in the books. We debuted at Rosetta Hall a few weeks ago and had a hell of a time, man. It was great.
That's awesome.
Great
I
time
love
picking.
that spot. Man.
Yeah, it was fun.
It's a good little space to eat, like, you know, 5-6 different things if you wanted to.
Yeah, seriously, and it's all super good too.
I saw Andy Thorne there and
Nice.
the Jack Clunan there
Yeah,
a
Jack
couple years
Clunan's
ago.
guy.
So I want y'all to check out this band. Now, how can we find you guys on the internet? What is your website?
Website is therosevalleythorns.com.
Okay.
Yeah. And the Rose Valley Thorns will pretty much bring us up anywhere you look. You know, we got music out on Spotify or any
Awesome.
streaming platform. We got you know, the Instas and the Facebooks and all that jazz.
You're on all the things.
Yeah. Yeah. It was, you know, that was another opportunity that COVID kind of prevented. It's like, well, it's like, can't play out. How am I going to get people? How am I going to share my music with people? Started making a bunch of YouTube videos. Got like a bunch of YouTube videos out.
Yeah.
And I made a Patreon. I post exclusive videos on Patreon all the time.
Yeah, tell
Shout
us
out-
about your Patreon.
Yeah, big shout out to my supporters on Patreon. You guys are like really making this whole thing out here in Denver possible for me, because I'd still be stuck in my parents' house if it weren't for the support of people on my Patreon. So massive appreciation to those folks. And if anyone wants to support a struggling artist, Patreon's like excellent way to help me out for sure.
Yeah, man. And if you're a talent buyer on the Front Range and you're wondering, is this a good band? Check them out. But I'll tell you right now, I've been playing bluegrass, since I was about 15 years old, and this is the real deal right here, on the Front Range.
Thanks, man.
Serious, real bluegrass band, and I really like. I had no idea that you had Zach in your band playing bass, and you had that Mark guy from Berkeley on guitar. Yeah. So that tells me that you're really considerate of the sound that you guys are making.
We've been having a great time.
Personnel selection.
It was like the first thing I had my eyes out for as soon as I came here. It's like, well, what am I gonna do? I got to start a band. Got to find the right pickers.
Got to find the right players, and honestly, at the end of the day, if you want. When you're writing, and are you a songwriter too?
Yeah,
that's awesome. Mm-hmm. I love that.
Yeah, my album on Spotify is it's like 14 tunes, 12 originals.
So that's great, man. I'm gonna check that out. So that's great. You're actually a songwriter, because one thing that you do that nobody else is gonna do is write songs for your fans. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the unique thing that you have. So I'm excited. I know that we're going to play some shows together.
Yeah.
And we don't have anything on the books together now as a band, but now that, we've hung out and we know about each other, as soon as I find something that is good, a good fit for you and us, we're going to do a show together, because I would love for, us all to hang out. And
big time, yeah.
That's what it's all about, lifting other bands up and hanging out and having a good time.
Absolutely.
And, I'm excited to learn more about you guys and hear your original music. Mm-hmm. And I will try to get out to that 38 show on the 30th of March.
Yeah.
That's a really great venue. It's real spread out.
That'll be the first time we've played there, so looking forward to it.
I think we're playing there in August. I'm not really supposed to. Are we allowed to even? No, whatever. Anyway. Yeah, so it's been a lot of fun. And so are you going to Rocky Grass?
I intend to.
Cool.
I don't have tickets yet, but I'll pick them up off the forum or something like that sooner or later.
I think I may not be able to get into this year's, but I will probably. I'm going to try to sneak in and pick on the campgrounds.
Yeah,
nice. So if you're security, look out for this. All right. But it looks like a great festival. Yeah, really love this scene out here. This is a really thriving scene.
Oh yeah. It's so refreshing to have so much like enthusiasm about bluegrass music.
Mm-hmm. And if you're a hot banjo player and you're looking for a good band, it looks like he's starting a good band. So reach out. Now's the time to do it. And I know Dylan Kober, he is a dobro player. I had him on a couple weeks ago, and he's great.
Cool.
So if you're looking for a dobro player, he would be perfect.
Could get the job done.
He's very tasteful.
Anything that drives too.
Yeah. Honestly, since I've gotten here, I've enjoyed playing with Dylan and probably Nick the most. Dylan is just the most. See, the thing about dobro is it's either great or it's not, and
you do get kind of a lot of dobro haters, especially in the trad bluegrass.
Yeah, folk. But I'm saying if it's good though, it's good.
Of course,
and it adds a lot. And
I love good dobro.
And that's what I should get. I should get you and him and me together for one of these things, so we can all play together.
That'd be great.
We can do a show. We can put together a little what do you call it? Pickup bluegrass band. We'll call it the Colorado Colonels. How's that? If you really want to see good video quality, subscribe to our YouTube channel, smash that bell, And, you know, we really appreciate you guys tuning in every Sunday and all the support from all of our fans. We love you guys. Those of you that are sending in donations for the show, we're using your money to make the show better and pay rent and put gas in the car and buy Rocky Grass tickets and weed and all that kind of fun stuff.
Yeah.
Lily's shaking her head over there.
Thanks to people supporting artists during these tough times, you know what I mean?
Yeah, please don't take it for granted because, you know, it's really hard for us. You know, it's not as hard for some people who are very established right now that are, you know, but if you're not established and you're not playing these big gigs, it's really hard to pay the bills, you know? So, you know, one thing about COVID is I think it is taking out a lot of bands, and I think bands are being born too, but I do think there's more of a deficit. You know, it's like there's less bands than there was before COVID. So this is kind of a good time, you know, for Josh to start this band here in Denver and for a banjo player to join the band, you know, because he needs a good banjo player.
It feels like the right time.
Yeah.
For sure. I'm excited about the potential around here.
I'm
Definitely.
excited about it too, man. It's like I said, and, you know, maybe we'll even do a tour together. High Lonesome and
now we're talking.
the Rose Valley Thorns.
Yeah.
I love that. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks again for having me.
Oh man, it's my pleasure, brother.
Yeah.
It's been fun.
Good vibes.
Yeah, thanks, man.